Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy, the podcast of champions, and we're actually going to be talking to one of the best people today on social media. But just a quick intro to what we're doing here. We talk about the habits, mindsets, and behaviors of the people building legacies in now and in the past. Today we have on Maddy Mink. We've been talking about her all week on how to actually market your message. There's a lot of things that go into building a legacy, but making sure people know about what you're building is pretty important, right? There's the guy who built Mount Rushmore. Nobody knows who he is because he didn't let anybody know who he was. And that sucks because that's a pretty cool legacy, but nobody knows who he is. I looked it up once and I thought it was interesting, but I forgot because he didn't get good branding. So today we're going to be talking about how do we get marketing out there, how do we build a personal brand, how do we build that, and how is that going to help us accomplish our goal, whether it's charity, whether it's helping people change their lives, whether it's just you're money hungry, I don't care what it is. How do you accomplish your goal and build a legacy, a meaningful legacy that you want to build? So welcome, Maddy.
Thank you.
And just give a brief introduction of yourself, how you got to where you are, and why legacy and specifically marketing your message is so important to you.
So my name is Maddy Mink. I am an influencer coach. So my purpose is to help women unveil their inner queen to become influencers in their lives and business. So I have centered my whole life around actually being an influencer and helping others do the same. And that's one thing that I find so important, especially when you're starting a business, you're trying to share a message, you're trying to have an impact in this world and create fulfillment. You have to be an influencer, like end of story. And people don't understand quite what an influencer is or who's in that position. And it's amazing how unconscious people are in this specific area. Like, for example, at a hair salon, even a woman doing someone's hair, you have an influence over that person. When you are in any leadership position, you are an influence. And it's taking accountability of that. It's actually taking, taking credibility. I actually have to take responsibility for the energy that I'm putting out there, for the things that I am saying, because it does affect people. It does influence people, especially when you're building a business, you're building your legacy. What I do, what I say, the image that I build around me, it'll affect generations to come. It'll affect my whole legacy. It'll affect my whole world around me.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious how you would define the difference between maybe a salesman or a marketer, because I know that right now, especially in the Instagram world where we're going to talk about, the word influencer has almost become like an affiliate marketer type person where there's no real branding or intention behind the influence. It's just like, hey, I want to become an influencer and market crap. But how would you separate yourself as an influencer versus, and what's that's
usually called an ambassador. The thing that you're looking for is usually like ambassador. That's like the new beautiful word that everyone loves, companies love to spell out. Hey, come be an ambassador for my company. It sounds really, really pretty. Mm-hmm. All that really means is, hey, I'm giving you a discount if you get sales for my company. That's all it is. They're representing the company on a very minuscule scale. There's a big difference between having an ambassadorship versus a sponsorship. Influencers are the one actually getting sponsorships, and the reason that they acquired those is because they built themselves as a public figure with a specific message, a specific purpose, and they're a public figure. They are a spokesperson for this. So like back in the day when you would think of like the athletes representing Nike, those are sponsorships. Well, now individuals who have built themselves up, they now get that opportunity to be a representative of this brand.
Right. Okay, so we're going to get into that a little bit later, more in depth on how and why that's important from a branding perspective. But I'm curious, like a little bit more of your background. There's two questions in this. When did you first decide that you wanted a legacy, and how did you decide what that legacy was going to be?
So it's actually really funny that you asked that. Where I decided, I'm like, you know what? This is something I need to teach other people. Is when I saw so many women with so much potential, and they had no idea how to share their message. And I had finally unlocked for myself how to do this. So I'm like, you know what? I need to figure out not only how to replicate it, but how to monetize it for myself and monetize it for other people to create a legacy, to create a business. And to take it one step further, I've thought about this for my family and for the generations to come. And we are trying for kids in June after we get married. And I'm so excited that I've actually started building up my daughter's Instagram, even though we're not pregnant yet. So, like, I've gotten, like...
you hope it's a girl.
I hope
because
it's a
if
girl.
It's a boy,
well, even if it's a boy, I'm actually able to help document their lives and get them sponsorship deals and brand deals as children. I mean, I do professional modeling. I'm able to... Hopefully they're cute. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm able to help actually build them up, so by the time they are teenagers and actually ready to take over their social media, they will have hundreds of thousands of followers and sponsorship deals and collaboration deals. And I couldn't think of a better gift that I could give my family and my legacy and my clients than the gift of being able to share your message at all times and to be a role model, a public figure, a speaker. And so that's really what drives my soul and makes me so passionate, is being able to pass that on to my children.
That's awesome. So I'm curious, just because I've heard this in multiple things, even when I started sharing pictures of my kids on social media, there's like a whole group of people who think it's like an invasion of your child's privacy to be sharing them, and it's actually a risk to be sharing all that much information or pictures of them. How do you like help somebody overcome that fear of sharing their children on social media?
So this is actually a really common question that I get from influencers that I build up. And here's the thing, people are going to see your kids anyways. There's always those, there's really bad people out in the world. And you're preventing an opportunity for people to connect with you. That's the biggest thing. People want to connect with you. They want to trust you. They want to know you. And where my fiance and I, we are very much in the spotlight. We speak on a lot of stages. We're public figures. I mean, every week when we go somewhere, someone recognizes us. So our kids are already going to be in the spotlight. And I now get to control what is being shared about them and what is their life is building up. And I don't mind that because they're already going to be in the spotlight no matter what. And I might as well help them benefit. And I've already... as soon as they're born, I'm setting up savings accounts, whatever collaboration sponsorship deals that they make, even when they're just an infant, that's all theirs. That's their work. And I'm teaching them how to work. I'm teaching them how to build themselves as influencers.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So on the same line, I know your story.
Yes.
You can choose how much you want to share about
Okay.
this. But I think at least a small portion of it would be valuable here for people who are on the edge of sharing, because it's very pertinent to social media. But... how did you deal with the naysayers in your life, and how did you really like move past them and say, I'm going to go be me, I'm going to be independent, I'm going to put forth the image that I know I can be, and I'm not going to worry about what, especially on social media, detractors or people who are going to try and tear you down are going to tell you about yourself?
Absolutely. So here's the thing that I would always say is there will always be naysayers. No matter how many you get past, there will always be naysayers, and it does eventually get easier to stand in full alignment and confidence. But I will honestly say every naysayer that comes into my life, I do a check-in, and I'm like, hey, I'm in alignment. I am completely content with who I am and what I'm putting out in this world. And a lot of people, I think, that are naysayers, they don't really understand. And so that's one thing. So my history is I actually went through a divorce, and I ended up losing everything. I lost my husband, my entire family, the business that I was running, everything. I lost everything that I had within 24 hours, and I ended up living in my car for a month. And that was a low point. I had $0 to my name. I had nowhere to go. And I was a nobody. Nobody cared about me. It was the lowest point of my life, and that was honestly just about 3 years ago. And I had a choice. I've been at the low point. I've been at the suicidal point. I've been at the point where I have nothing and I have no one. But I realized I need to do whatever it took. I knew I was stronger than this, and I knew I was meant for something more. And so I put in my time, I put in my work to get where I'm at and to spread my message. And I think some people, and the biggest naysayers have honestly been my family, and I've seen that most commonly with influencers, that the biggest naysayers are actually the people that are closest to you in your life, whether that's your spouse or your family. And it's usually because they don't understand. I have never shared a story about my family that was ever meant to hurt them. I could share so many stories to hurt them and hurt their business and hurt their reputation. But the only time I share stories is to help someone else. That is my true being, is if I had to go through all this pain, I had to go through all this suffering, I can honestly say it was worth it if I helped one person not have to experience what I had to experience and not have to feel the way I felt. So that is the commitment that I took as an influencer, that I will do whatever it takes. I will take on whatever responsibility that I need to so that I can help some other person not have to experience it to that capacity. And that is why I stepped into this position. That is why I pushed past the naysayers. That is why when someone says to me, Maddy, I can't believe you're making money off of being an influencer. I can't believe you're making money off of teaching other people to be an influencer. They don't understand. They don't understand at all. I'm giving an opportunity to those that deserve it and those that I know are ready to step into that position, and I will never regret that.
Yeah, and I think along that is what add more clarity here, what they don't understand, because you and I were on the same page in a lot of these things.
Absolutely.
But once you become an influencer, you start to understand really where people's minds are, and that's why I asked the question in the beginning, what's the difference between an ambassador and an influencer? People think their image of you going and marketing something, you going and representing another company, they see that as you just being a salesman. They see that as you not really taking full stock into who you are and your brand, and they're missing the point that you represent those things. I know you specifically, you represent the Second Amendment a lot, and you really like gums. She loves gums too. No, I'm just kidding. You really like guns, but that you're not just marketing guns. You're not out there to make a statement for the sake of making a statement. You're out there saying, look, this is who I am and what I want to influence. And the influence aspect, we need to actually dissect the word and say you're trying to influence somebody, not manipulate, not motivate, but to share who you are and inspire people to really get to where they are. And that's what influence is. And for me, I'm in a different, a different career field, but I love social media because there's a lot of people who I've reached out to and tried to share what I'm doing with them, and they're not interested. They just, no, please don't talk to me about it. I don't agree with what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And then I start sharing on social media more. When I met you, I started doing a lot more social media. And then these people are coming out of the word work and they're thinking, oh, Sam's actually a professional. He knows what he's talking about. He probably actually can help me. And they are now understanding that I'm here just sharing information, truth. And as I do that, it's to help and inspire people to take action and better their own lives. And so I think that's a key point of understanding they don't understand the idea and the concept of influence.
And I will say that, like every industry, like every field, you've always got the people that just don't fucking get it and they do it wrong. Like Absolutely. They are, and I will say that I know a lot of influencers and I have called a lot of them out and they are doing it completely wrong, and they've given influencer marketing a horrible name. And what's interesting that you brought up the firearms, I will never make money off firearms. I went and invested to become an instructor, and I will never make money off firearms. That is my giving back to the world. That is sharing my purpose. And so it's very interesting when people are like, oh, she's probably making money off of it somehow or this. And it's true, like to some degree, yeah. But it depends exactly what it is. For example, if I did like a trade deal with a service, for example, I know that company, I know exactly what it's about, I know the purpose, I know the service, and I trust them, and I'm proud to promote it. And I would rather that and be able to give my followers a true reference and referral to a company that I believe in and that I personally use, and I'm totally fine with that. Because I'm actually giving them a gift. I'm actually giving them a gift of my experiences yet again.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's just a good point for people to understand what is influence. I love it. Thank you so much for that. And I think that's, with firearms specifically, there's always going to be things that we indirectly benefit from.
Yes.
That it's part of our branding. For me right now, this podcast, I'm not making a dime from it, but it's adding another layer so people can get to know me. And when people get to know me, then I may make income from helping them do something else in their life, but they get to know me here, and I don't make money on my podcast right now. So it's very similar to that.
Well, and being a true influencer, I do believe that opportunities and benefits come when you're alignment. I mean, for example, I got to fly out to go see Elena Cardone and do a firearm conceal carry project with her for a day. That opportunity wouldn't have actually happened for me if I wouldn't have stood up and said, you know what? I'm going to promote women conceal carry no matter what it takes. And I put that out into the world, and I actually had one of the awesome, most amazing connections of my life from that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So moving into really the purpose of the podcast, remember we're going to talk about habits, mindsets, and behaviors. What do you believe is your secret weapon? Not the guns. But what's your secret weapon? What habit, mindset, or behavior do you believe that you bring to the table better than anybody else that's going to help build your legacy, that you kind of cornered that market and other people are going to come to you to learn how to learn that habit, mindset, or behavior so they can share their legacy more?
So I understand every part of the market. I understand the contrast. I understand the light. I understand the dark. I have gone so deep into this market to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what's being done wrong, what's being done right, that I can honestly sit in truth in someone of saying, I know exactly the right way to do it, to actually make a true influence, to become a true influencer with an organic following, to build a business, to build a life, to build a legacy. I don't want to just give people a pretty number or a certain amount of likes. No. I give them clients, I give them a business, I give them a life, and I give them a platform. And I know exactly how to do that completely in the light and with love.
Yeah, and something else I would say that you do very well with your clients is people come in, and this was myself as well. I knew what I wanted, sort of. I knew the end goal-ish. But no, but really, like I had this vague idea, but I hadn't really identified my identity as far as how I was going to share that and the branding and the marketing perspective of that. And so, yes, you can help with all of these after things, but until somebody really identifies their identity and really identifies what they need to do and who they are and what they want to represent, then it's going to be really difficult to actually share and actually market that. If you're shooting in the dark because you don't know what you are and who you are, then that's really difficult to overcome and really market. And so that's something I've seen you do really well with your clients, is help them identify what is it that they actually want to market. What exactly is their gift that they can actually share and add value? Because it's all about adding value to other people, and not necessarily what can you get, what collaborations can you get, what value can you add to those other people and companies.
So that's the true definition of influence. Influence is not how you can make someone feel about you, it's how you can make them feel about themselves. And so that's exactly what you're saying, and I absolutely agree with that for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So from a financial perspective, because you mentioned you came from your car, you came from basically nowhere. I have not experienced that level of destitution. I don't know if that's the right word, but I made it.
Desperation.
Destitution's good too. I haven't experienced that for a really long time, because when I was growing up, we were kind of like that. My parents were Pizza Hut drivers, very poor, working odd jobs, just trying to survive. I'm the 7th of 11 kids, so I did experience it to a point, but by the time I was 11, I had decided that I was going to go get a full-time job, and I've worked ever since. So I've always been able to provide essentially enough money for my basic needs and some wants. Mm-hmm. And I don't know the last time I had less than $10,000 in saving. I've just always been pretty financially secure because I learned that I didn't want to not be when I was very young. So I don't really have a super rags to riches story, in a short period of time. It was a long time of building myself.
Yes.
But how did you get the financial backing, and how did you really stay afloat financially while you were building your influence?
So I was a personal trainer at the time. I'd been a trainer for 7 years. I had been working in my family insurance company that my dad owned. And that got ripped away along with my life. And that, what I say, was driving my most income. That was making me the most money, and definitely more of the career that I was on. So when that got ripped away, all I had was personal training that I was doing 15 hours a week. And so I was like, you know what? I've got to go all in on training. So I worked 65-hour weeks for 9 months. And I was able to fill my whole clientele and build that just from my Instagram, which we're talking, I'm sitting at 5,000 to 8,000 followers, which isn't considered a lot now, but I was actually still able to bring in the clientele, still build that life that I wanted. And then after I worked 65-hour weeks, I was able to buy a home. And then the problem persisted, though, that there wasn't enough hours in the day. And I started to realize, okay, they're charging $110 an hour to work with me. I get paid $22 an hour, and then you've got 25% taken out from taxes. Yeah, and that can only get you so far, and I was drained. If anyone's ever worked a training job or more of a manual job versus an office job, I can honestly say I've worked both, and sitting at a desk for 5 hours is equivalent to 2 hours training. Like, it is so draining. You are working with someone's mind, you are working with someone's body. And so I got to this point where I was like, I need to do something different. And actually, my fiance now, he's the most amazing coach and mentor I've ever had. And he gave me the love and acceptance and the number one fan that I'd never had in my life, that I could do this, that I could start my own business. And it's interesting because I always joke I was bred to be an entrepreneur because both my parents owned multiple businesses and did very, very well. And I don't know why I never thought the same for myself until Travis came along. And he was just that person that believed in me. And I went all in on myself. And after 6 weeks, I had a full clientele. I'd already made $8,000, which the year before, we're talking $26,000 was the most I'd ever made in my entire life. And that year, my first year in business, I made $125,000 in personal training. And that's working 25 to 30 hours a week, if that.
Yeah, that's so the next question plays into that perfectly, but that's amazing, by the way.
Thank
and I
you.
think you deserve like a small round of applause because not very many people can do that. I say all the time on the show, my 3-part message really is identify your identity, which you helped me accomplish even more clearly, and then confidence, right? You have to have the confidence to actually go forward and do something, and then that's when you're actually able to create it. And so Travis helped, you already had your identity, knew what you wanted to bring to the world, but then having the confidence to take that next step. If you're sitting there thinking you don't have the confidence right now to take the next step in your life, think about Maddy's example and how she was able to do that in her life. It wasn't that she changed, it was what she thought in her mind changed. And
Absolutely.
Having somebody else believe in you, sometimes it's better to have somebody else believe in you more than you believe in yourself and just rely on their belief in your abilities.
Well, I truly do believe that to reach our full potential, we have to have someone unveil that. I will say that every day of the week. I needed Travis to come into my life to unveil my full potential. And that's why I stepped into the position that I have, is I want to and I will be that person for the people that are ready to step into their full potential full-heartedly. I will be that number one person backing them and helping them every step of the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Along that journey, how did understanding, or you had to learn this, you had to learn the understanding, but gaining the understanding of how money works, not on like a numbers level. Mm-hmm. Numbers are kind of important, but I would say they're about 5% important. I tell my clients this all the time. 5% of what I do is helping you with your numbers. Yep. 95% of what I do is helping you understand money, understanding the rules of money, what attracts money, what repels money, and how to create yourself in form of a being that can receive money, because it has some huge major blocks to receiving money in our world. So how did understanding money change the way you earned income, but also changed your income?
So I was a benefit, even though I went from the high class to the very, very low class, I was able to adapt to that higher class mentality super fast. And I see the contrast compared to Travis because he was raised lower class. And I see him with that default, because we always go back to our experiences when we were children, that it's harder for him. It was harder for him to jump 2 social classes and stay in that high class mentality. But I have not, I think I've probably developed actually the proper conception of money from how I was raised, instead of the misconceptions of money that society makes you believe. And I realized how important is that, and then how I was able to step into a position where it was easier to receive, because I already accepted that I was worth it. I already accepted that I was worth sponsorship deals, I was worth getting money, I was worth paying. Mm-hmm. I stepped into my own value and realized that people aren't paying what I'm worth, they're paying what they're worth. And when I took my selfishness out of the equation, I realized I am not doing justice to that person and their transformation and what they can make in their lives. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I learned how to invest in myself. I think that's one thing that I wasn't taught growing up, is how to invest in myself. Mm-hmm. I already built my real estate portfolio and different investments for sure. I was taught that. But actually a personal investment in who I am. Mm-hmm. And that's where, I'd like to tell you that moved out of my car, everything was great, and life was dandy, and I was happy the rest of my life and met the man of my dreams. But I've had to do a lot of work to get where I'm at. I've had to hire coaches to help me emotionally, to help me physically, to get me where I'm at. I've had to invest in myself to get to that person.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. This is gonna go a little bit sideways here for a second, but it's so important. It's something I recognize, and people don't give you the credit for it. Maddy, married or closely married, almost to a transformational coach, Travis Brady. You heard him a few weeks ago. I'm a little bit cocky, a little bit, but I believe that I am not as good as Travis, but I'm pretty. I'm very good at what I do, and I'm good at helping people transform and think differently and make change. But just because you end up married to somebody who's good at that and has experienced that transformation in their life, that person is not always the best coach for you. And Maddy, like, yes, she's talking about how much Travis has helped her. A lot of that's been through example. I know them intimately. A lot of that's been through example. Some of it's been through processing and helping process stuff. But Travis actually instructed Maddy to go get her own coach, right? There's an important relationship aspect there. Yes, my wife benefits from me being able to be positive, me being able to understand and transform my own self and my thoughts, and to coach her through that in her deepest, darkest moments. But ultimately, she has to go get her own coach to really accomplish her own things and to work through things her way. And that's so important.
And there's something about making an investment. As soon as you make a financial investment, your skin is in the game. Your transformation already 10x's, 100%. And that's one thing too, is Travis could never make that investment for me.
No, because your money's the same.
Yes, I had to make it for myself. I've had to. Yeah, it's great when you make a lot of money, but then learning to part with it again and learning to invest it again. There's a beautiful, beautiful line, but every time I've invested, the following month, I've been more than triple that money back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Every time.
That's cool. So one thing that we talked about this whole week, I introduced a marketing topic on Monday. On Wednesday, we did the book review on .com Secrets. I wanted to let you give a little way into why you think .com Secrets is one of the best books to understand marketing and really promote yourself.
So, because it's great. Okay, so the first thing is, it's great to have a following, it's great to have an Instagram and a social media platform, but where do they go after that? Like, you actually put more confusion and disconnect from your followers when you don't provide the proper funnels for them to actually connect with you, to actually work with you and see their transformation. And I see that time and time again with influencers. I'm like, you don't have a website. You don't have any way for anyone to ever connect with you. And that's where I've set up myself very, very well of providing the funnels for people to work with me, to find out my information, to learn more, to actually get into that position. And it's not easy to work with me right off the bat. You have to go through a process, and I don't want to say jump through hoops, but you really do have to jump through the necessary hoops to get to the level where I'm ready to work with you, and I know that you're ready to work with me.
Yeah, I think the last part is more key, knowing that they are ready to work with you, because there's a lot of people who reach out and they'll want help. And I mean, I had somebody I was supposed to meet with today. They reached out to me. They're like, hey, I want to learn everything about you. I want to learn how you're doing this. I want to join your team. Basically is what they said to me on the phone. So we set an appointment to really go over the details. And then this morning he texted me. He's like, sorry, I have to cancel because X, Y, or Z came up. And my response, as maybe cold as it is, like, this is the second time you've canceled. I'm not going to let you cancel another time. It may not be the right fit. So a few weeks ago, Instagram, Facebook just crashed for, I think it was only 10 hours. I don't know how long it actually was. I was looking online to see how long it actually crashed. It was 10 hours. But for somebody who, that's their primary revenue, we'll say revenue. It's not really an income revenue as much as it's a clientele revenue. That's your primary marketing source. This is exactly why having other avenues and having people be aware of other avenues are so important. I'm so grateful that I still have a podcast that I can post and that gets out there regardless of social media. Obviously, social media helps it get out there and more people listen to it. But without social media, I'm still connecting to my people. I still have a website. I still have things that people can reach me at outside of social media.
Yes.
And so just to her point, it's just so crucial to have other things, because if you're all invested in one thing, you could lose it all. I mean,
absolutely.
Facebook could have gone down. I don't know what we all would have done. It would have been crazy. I didn't think it was
something
really
else
going
would have popped right back up.
Sure.
Some other platform.
Sure, but it's the fact that can happen. That two major companies, and maybe it was a data breach and we have no idea.
They're
yet.
owned by the same company.
I know they're owned by the same company, but they still separate their data.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopefully. Hopefully they separate their data. Yeah, but I mean, still to have that big of a a breach, for whatever reason it is, that's one of the top 10 largest companies in the world right now. For that to just go down for a day, and we live in such a different economic world than in the past, that you need to be prepared and get your message out there from all angles. So,
absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, great there. So we are going to jump into, well, first, how can we either support you in your message and your mission, and also get in touch with you? Share with people that.
So I hold influencer events. I also hold a few other events. People are always welcome to reach out to me about attending those. I post about them all the time. Find me on Instagram. It's Minky, M-I-N-K-Y, or on my website, which is maddymink.com, M-A-D-D-Y-M-I-N-K.
Awesome. And she is actually going to be speaking on the panel at our event on May 11th, specifically on the legacy side of things, how to actually promote your message from a social media standpoint. We're going to have a few different professionals in different areas of industry. So there's going to be like a branding expert and then a marketing expert, both there to really help you understand how to get the most out of you and your skills, because you can continue to work your 9-to-5 job for a corporation and, just as she said, get paid what they think you're worth, or you can take it upon yourself to go and find out what they're paying you for, what is the exact skill, what's the exact thing that they're paying you for, and learn how to exploit that for your own income and for your own family's benefit rather than for their benefit. Start a little side hustle and make that your main thing, the thing that you're getting paid for already, and make that your main thing to where you're actually branding yourself that way and providing for your family in a way that no corporation is ever going to pay you for. So that's going to happen May 11th. You can find the link in the show notes here, or also if you are following either of us on social media or Travis Brady on social media, you definitely will be able to get access to that, and we'd love to give you a promo code if you'd like a discount. You don't have to have the discount, but if it's there, one way to get that is to share this podcast on social media and tag Samuel Knickerbocker, Maddy Mink, or Travis Brady in it. So this is the legacy on Rapid Fire. We're going to find out what's holding you back, kind of where you're going, and where we're going from here for your legacy. So what's holding you back from reaching the next level in your legacy right now?
Hiring a higher level coach to take me even further to the next level.
Awesome. And what's the hardest thing you've ever accomplished?
I would say accepting my past and learning and seeing what it did for me instead of what it did to me.
Awesome. And what is the greatest success you've experienced to this point in your life?
I would say, honestly, going to Florida and working with Elena Cardone, my biggest idol, and being able to do a video series with her.
That's awesome. I'm going to break code here. Leave it to Sam to break code. But what's cool about that is that was more of a dream. It wasn't necessarily a financial success, and I don't know if you'll ever get paid from it or for it, but just the dream, accomplishing your dream, there's something to be said about doing the things that you love in your dreams rather than just focusing on the income and what you're going to gain out of it, just giving. And so that's cool. Thank you for that. And then what is one of the secrets you believe contributes to your success?
I would say accepting myself entirely for my dark and my light and being in full alignment with who I am.
Awesome. And what books would you recommend, either one or two books that you would recommend for the Fuel Your Legacy show and audience?
I would say .com Secrets and Expert Secrets, both by Russell Brunson, have by far been a game changer in being an influencer and being in business.
Awesome. And both of those will have links in the below, in the show notes below, for you guys to go and grab those from Amazon if you'd like to.
Which I've also got to market those for Russell Brunson because I'm an influencer. So that's not even part of the show. It's a book I had already read, already loved, already told people about, and now because I'm an influencer, I actually had the opportunity to do that.
That's way cool. Yeah. So if you have a product that you really, really love and you're going to talk about it anyways, if there's a way for you to go and serve them and serve the people who are promoting or creating their product, then have a discussion about it and just see if there's any mutual benefit. You don't make it contingent on you're sharing a contingent on the mutual benefit, or that sounds a little bit like you're not really sincere about it. But focus on how can we actually promote that. And then lastly, this is the final question. So do you have anything you want to share that you haven't been able to share yet before we ask the final question?
I just want to thank you. You've actually played a really, really big part in my life and in my transformation, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm honored to be on your show. I mean, Sam's done huge things since we first met a long time ago. So I'm just impressed.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate all that you do for me.
Absolutely.
But it's now many years from now. So now we got to find out what you actually want out of your legacy. So now it's many, many years from now, 6 generations down.
Okay.
So you've been dead for probably, honestly, you've been dead for probably 50 years.
Okay.
Okay. Your great, 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 great grandchildren are talking about you. What do you want them to be saying about you? What do you want them to be saying your legacy is?
That I completely changed the field of influencer marketing. That I completely changed the field, the whole entire field of influencer marketing.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think you're well on your way to accomplish that legacy from an insider perspective and an outsider perspective. Because she actually connected, this is funny, but we actually connected on Instagram the first time. She reached out to me. She saw what I was doing. She saw that I had a little bit more potential than I was currently exhibiting through my social media. I was struggling really bad. I knew I was supposed to be on there, but I had no idea how to be on there.
You had good intent.
You've all experienced that where like you're supposed to be doing something, but you're completely clueless about how to do it. That was me with all of social media, but specifically Instagram in a way that's like it was pitiful. I've deleted most of that part of my Instagram by this point. But that's awesome. You can always connect with me at fuelingyourlegacy@gmail.com. Also, samknickerbocker.com. You can access more of these episodes. You can also get access to my free ebook, my webinar, and you'll be able to register for my next speaking event there as well. I've got a few coming up, so if you'd like to get into hear more of how I help people through their financial journey and give them the financial confidence by helping them identify their identity, create the confidence necessary, and then go create their legacy, then those are the places to find that out. And we will catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.